So this wonderful question came to me today from somebody within the Oasis community who has been studying their own truth, who has been studying knowing themselves fully. And this is from Becky. It's a great question. She says, I know that I create my own suffering, that I don't suffer the world, I suffer my own mind. My question is, how do I instead learn to create happiness with as much skill and proficiency as I create suffering? I love that question. How do I create happiness with as much skill and proficiency as I create suffering? So, shifting one's perspective is very, very helpful in this regard. And one's understanding of what is happiness and what is suffering. We typically think, Becky, that suffering and happiness are two ends of the same spectrum, of the same thing. That the emotional experience of suffering is the opposite end of the emotional experience of happiness. Emotional experiences come and go. So it's helpful to recognize that happiness and suffering aren't actually opposite ends of the same thing. They are different things. Suffering is activity of mind and an emotional experience. Happiness is the very nature of our being. It's actually not an emotional state. We can have an emotional state of happiness, but it's not the happiness that we're talking about here. It's just a temporary passing state, just like suffering is. True happiness is not on the same spectrum. It's not the same thing. It's not the opposite of suffering. It is something completely different. So the best analogy in this that I can come to is the analogy we often use of the sky and the weather. And recognizing that the sky, the blue sky, we're going to call it the daytime sky in this analogy, the blue sky simply is. It is the natural state that is present, or the essence that is present. And it gets clouded, it gets veiled by clouds. Clouds and sky are different things. The clouds temporarily veil the knowing of the sky, the being able to see and witness and experience the sky. But the clouds are something different than sky. Sky, which is in this analogy, happiness, is our essential nature of being. It's always present. It simply gets veiled by our mind, by our emotional bodies, by getting lost in the content of our human experience. We tend to forget the presence of the sky. It'd be like looking out the window and seeing only clouds and forgetting that they are temporary and they are passing and they are not enduring. The sky is enduring. Behind the clouds, the sky is enduring. There aren't suffering clouds and happiness clouds, and suffering clouds come and then happiness clouds come, and we're trying to make happiness clouds because we don't like the suffering clouds. If you stop creating all clouds the natural state that is revealed is your happiness. Happiness here is an equanimity of grace, which, as you know by now, using the word grace, I mean truth. The equanimity of our truth, the stillness of being, the contentment, the unbothered nature of consciousness is the sky. It's different than clouds. Sky and clouds are different things. So happiness isn't just another weather pattern that competes with suffering. All weather patterns, when we get lost in them, veil the true essential nature of our being. So rather than efforting to create happiness, because anything that we create can be uncreated by the very same mind that created it. We know that. We've had that experience all the time. The mind will create positive thoughts, and then the very next minute we'll be questioning those same thoughts that it just created. The mind is always making things up, questioning, imagining. And all of that is happening. All of those weather patterns are happening within the presence of sky, of happiness, awareness, contentment, peace. So if we effort to create happiness, it's like we're trying to create less dark clouds. We're trying to create cloudlessness. And then we need to maintain the cloudlessness. And oh no, here comes another cloud. Oh, here comes difficulty. Here comes challenge. Here comes sadness. Here comes grief. Those come. When we resist them, we suffer. The sky never resists the weather that moves in and out of its presence. Now, we can make efforts to create conditions, situations, experiences that tend to alleviate the noise in the mind so that we can know the peace of our being. We can choose to live in an environment that is conducive to stillness, to peace, to quiet, to non-drama. We can surround ourselves with things that bring our attention to stillness because we want to be present with the beauty around us. And when we want to be present to the beauty around us, we tend to quiet the mind. We tend to stop ruminating about the past and pondering about the future because we want to be present to the beauty around us. So you can create a home where there's essential oil diffusers, incense, light, plants, colors that you enjoy, furniture that you enjoy, textures, experiences that tend to calm the mind, calm the storms, calm the clouds of constant narration. And when we calm the clouds, they dissipate. The sky is already there. The happiness is already there. You don't have to create the happiness. You can create environments, conditions, relationships that foster and engender and nourish peace, stillness, lack of drama, less storytelling. And as the mind quiets, those clouds, those thought clouds and belief clouds and judgment clouds and opinion clouds and shame clouds, as those get less and less power because you're not activating them as much, you're not believing in them, as those soften, you'll start to know the sky. You'll start to know the innate happiness that you already are. So know that no matter what storm pattern or weather pattern is moving through your awareness, the awareness that you are, the awareness that you are, the essential nature of that awareness is happiness, peace, contentment, kindness, love, unity, oneness. You're just really, really skilled, as most all humans are, at creating clouds, at creating cloudy thought patterns. As Ram Dass says, our mind is our karma. Karma is that which veils truth. Our mind is our karma. The mind is what veils us from knowing the essential happiness of our being. The mind gives us clouded perceptions. The mind gets in the way of a true knowing of God, which is consciousness, the oneness that we all share. So you don't have to scurry about creating happiness. Do your best to create the environments, conditions, situations that nourish peace and stillness. And you will find the happiness is already there. Now, when things are truly difficult, you've got a difficult scenario, condition, situation playing out in life, allowing for its presence and knowing that that is a passing experience within the presence of conscious awareness that you are. You can know that the clouds will come and go, and that the essential peace and grace of your own being will always be present and cannot be destroyed. And for those who are not a part of the Oasis community and are viewing this perhaps on YouTube, know that there is support available to you through my online program, Living Beyond the Noise, that'll help put you on a solid path of self-knowing, that'll help you, give you all the tools and skills and perspectives and information, meditations, guidance, that'll allow you to stay on this path to deep and true self-knowing, to ultimate freedom. Over the years, decades of your life, to learn the skills and the perspectives and the wisdom and the tools and the practices that'll help you to walk that path with consistency, efficiency, effectiveness. So there's a link in the description below to the course, Living Beyond the Noise. And I hope to see you there. All right, be well.